So I finally managed to get to the end phase, phase 7 on the new trial. Haven't beaten it yet, but it is what it is. People need quite a lot of time to get used to those mechanics and practice them. We started out just by switching our powers there. I'm playing as the off tank, so there's not a lot of pressure on me. The other tank, he's tanking the boss there. My duty is to tank these adds. Make sure that guy, the mini boss over there, is going to be attacking me instead of my allies. And we have 3 waves of adds in this first phase, and I just need to make sure that, yeah, at least the majority of them are hitting me and not my allies. And generally, you just need to make sure that the mini boss is attacking you. I would say tanking is probably the easiest thing in this trial. There's not a lot of pressure on you to survive. You can face tank quite a lot of mechanics and not worry about dying. I'm in Discord with these guys and they call, and this first phase, not really anything special. The problem with this phase though is the RNG. Like, you can pick up a few deaths from either some mini boss or some adds, as the tank can't really get all of them, not that easily. And then you can end up with bad combos of like the chains of undeath pushing you into the mirrors, or getting the disintegration beam just as you get the purple hand effect. Yeah, anyway, so we're here then getting Mr. Minotaur burnt down, and we're fighting the Umbra Hulk here, just the next mini boss. And yeah, going all right, I guess. Generally, people will pick up a few skulls here, but they can play safer later on in the trial and lose those skulls again before the end. You will see that. You can see the skulls there in the top left. And yeah, we got down to that 25%, all the owlbears spawn, and that DPS immediately died to the Displacer Beast. Not ideal on my part. I should have been paying attention and have moved to that location already to tank him as soon as he appeared. But we've got all the owlbears kind of kited up there, and we've got our stun ability as well, Burning Light as a paladin. Need to watch out for those mirrors. Just move, as those energy beams can kill you as a tank if you're not prepared. And otherwise, this phase is a bit boring, but it's kind of like the beginning test. Learn those mirrors, check, learn how to deal with those purple debuffs, like the Withering Ray it's called, and then the end effect on that as well, which is like an AoE hit. And again, it's so chill as a tank here, like just running around not doing much. Okay, the other tank has got to go and tank the boss there, and that's up to him. I'm here waiting for the Beholder to spawn in. As soon as he does, I need to taunt him. Well, either me or the other tank. I missed it there. Yeah, and you can see the healer died. Not ideal. Usually I'm a bit quicker on that, but yeah, now it's either between me or the other tank who has threat. I generally just go in all threat and whatever. We can build off each other. If the tank has his Knight's Valor up, I believe it's called, and I'm near him, he'll basically steal all my threat that I generate. It's funny, but it'll make sure that at least one of us has the threat. We got to move for those portals again, because they absolutely obliterate that 3/4 of the arena. And just that's the damage soak here right now. As you can see, he charges up. We can have our daily cast there and help mitigate some of that damage. Ideally, I should have used my tab shield thing as well. I usually do that. But here you can see we've received like this broken shield marker above our head. You'll also see the debuff in the top left. And basically you want to switch as soon as somebody's got 2 of those. So when I've got 2 of those, the other tank will take like 2, 3, or 4 is fine. Now you'll see we've also got a bunch of other debuffs. You can see we've got the blue and the purple one. The purple one is if anybody dies, then they're dead, permanently dead. The blue one is a reduction to the healer resource. Basically, it's your duty as a tank to remove those debuffs. You will see I will get a red area under my feet, and you want to move that over that crystal artifact it's called, and when it bursts, it puts out a wave and damages everybody, but most importantly, it destroys that debuff. You can see now it's gone. You will only get to destroy one of them in this phase. I mean, out of the 2, like it's either or. We either got rid of the purple one or we got rid of the blue one. So now we're stuck with the blue one. Stamina regen is diminished, and so is healer resource. Not ideal, but we can survive, I guess. We have to. That was the hypo, or as we would call it, the damage soak check. You're still getting these chains of undeath, which kind of try pull you together and kill you. But at 60%, we phased, and we're on to phase 3, where we're on this arena, and you have like 4 different combinations. Right here, we got Halaster and Palavorthine. You have ones, and you may have seen them in replays in the past of me fighting Zauriel and the Atropol, or Stormvault and Velindra, or otherwise Tiamat and Demogorgon. Here, we've just built up our threat to fight Halaster. No big deal there. And we get the Super Storm. It's a damage soak. Everybody just needs some mitigation. Be able to survive that. We give them our tab shield there. And things aren't looking too bad. Halaster's down below 50%. Palavorthine seems to be near enough that as well. And at this point, I believe Halaster is going to leave the arena. Well, he gives us a spread first, spread mechanic. If you've played Tower of the Mad Mage, you'll be familiar with it. And then he's gone, and Palavorthine leaves as well. At this point, you need a look to the sky. We can see there's one Halaster there, one other Halaster there, and you need to figure out the disintegration wave and where's going to be the safe spot. So we get pushed over here by Palavorthine, and there's the 2 disintegration waves. And then Halaster's going to land in the middle, so we need to make sure we're on the edge. I will explain the other phases that we can get in later videos. This one, for now, I'm just going to talk you through this run, give my commentary. Yeah, people like me talking and filling this in with, I guess, some insights of mechanics as well. Burning them both down here pretty quick, fairly easily. Just got to move there. That ice is going to make it so that we're dazed, so make sure we're not standing in that. And then they're both gone, and we phased. We're on to phase 4. Here you can see I have switched over to Smite throughout that phase 3, and it's important because we are now fighting 4 Beholders. There's that one just there, I need to make sure I have threat on him, and then there's this next one here who's going to burst. Again, try and make sure I have threat on him and him, 2 of them, and they will be lasering me just when they feel like it, and otherwise blowing up and causing like a damage soak. So there's 4 of those Beholders. Ideally the other tank will have the other 2 Beholders, but since I'm a Paladin and I can smite like a lot easier and from distance, I generally make sure I have 3 of them, the threat of 3 of them. Like when they're destroyed basically, and not all of them been destroyed, they turn into like these ghosts. But as soon as you've done that, you're on to phase 5, and you're back fighting Gzemnid himself. And this time he has a few more tricks up his sleeve. He still has this debuff that you received in the phase 2, so we have that diminished stamina regen and healer resource. But here you'll see a few more interesting mechanics. Again, still the same tank switch, still the same chains of undeath and the withering rays. And you'll also now get 2 of these red areas, me and the other tank. So you end up with double that and 2 waves that go across the board. So a DPS could get pretty screwed if they're not careful and standing in the wrong position. Now you see these gelatinous cubes spawn in. And a strategy here is to not kill them. If you do walk into them, you get kind of stunned, immobilized. You can see one turns orange there and there's a guy sitting in it. Basically, you're going to have to kill the cube in order to break him out. You do take a bit of damage over time, but people actually use the cubes as a safety, as a backup, a safety, because when you get the damage check and somebody has a few skulls, they might die again. This is the damage check right here. He's going to explode. You may see that some people will hop inside a cube just to be safe, like that guy right back there. I think the guy behind him died, but yeah, you get my point. So people will try reserve those cubes. It's quite funny. Now, a bit later on in this phase, I'm still not exactly sure on the rotations. You can see the new mechanics there of those purple hands that came up. That's like when you kind of want to be spread apart for this phase. I mean, yeah, totally favoring range DPS. Here I call the tank switch, as I've got 2 of those basically broken shields, vulnerability things. And very shortly, we're going to get a bunch more debuffs. So right now, you can see we've received the green one and the red one, along with another on the boss's bar. I believe that's actually the red one. We have an orange one, a green one and an orange one. The green one is this reduction to movement speed. The orange one, I believe, is a reduction to our damage. And a red one on the enemy, I believe, is an increase to their damage. So now the strategy is to destroy these. So as the tanks, we move to those crystals, we get the red areas, and then we blow them up. Now, there was one part I didn't quite mention, but I'll go back to it. It's basically when those debuffs, those crystals appear, right now, we all call together to group up. So you want to find your party members. I'm shouting here, here. This is where I want my party to be. That's unfortunate with the push effect. But we get a grid and double hypo. So we need people to be together and in the right positions. We finally played it well there. This group was struggling so much with it. And then we go on to destroy those artifacts or crystals, as I call them, the debuffs. One tank destroys the other one while I destroy this one. Yes, in this phase 5, you both need to destroy 2 of them. And then we're still left with one, which is going to be the green one. So we all have slowed movement speed. Not the end of the world, not as bad as like increasing the boss's damage or decreasing our damage. Here's the damage soak again, but this time we have to move for the mirrors. So yeah, this phase does have some additions to it regards to what you would see in phase 2, being a kind of more softer phase of this. And yeah, then you get to that 20% and you're on to phase 6. Here again, it's a repeat of that phase 4 with the 4 beholders. However, this time you have an additional rotating beam that'll deal more damage to you guys. And otherwise you have an additional debuff. I'm not sure if these guys have more hit points or if they deal more damage or anything. I mean, it certainly feels like it. But this time around, yeah, I have threat on a few of them and I wasn't really receiving any heals there. And now it becomes a mess. Since I died, that means the beholders are going to start lasering everybody. I have no divinity left to like aggro all of the beholders. I do my best. I have my vow, so I try get threat on some of them. The other tanks also having trouble and dying. So we've lost a lot of threat on these guys, and DPS are just receiving a ton of skulls. You can look back on the replay, and before we began this phase, things were looking pretty good, and we could have beat the trial if we managed to get through this phase smoothly. Unfortunately, we didn't. I mean, we do have the healer debuff, we have the stamina regen debuff. It's not ideal, and otherwise we're all moving slower, which isn't such a big deal. Most important part in this phase was me to not die and not lose aggro on those guys. But we managed to do it, brute forcing our way through the phase, and we're on to the final phase 7, which is very simply a DPS check with a few mechanics thrown in. Not many, just a few. You can see that outer green barrier is going to be slowly closing in. If you touch that green barrier, you're dead, permanently dead. You will see it later on. But yeah, it's a mess. We've all died. There's not many of us left, and there's not really much hope we can get any further. That was the double hypothermia there again. Much easier this time around without having mirrors. You do get mirrors here, but only like 2 of them, and you'll see it. But yeah, anyway, it's a wipe at this point. Just more practice needed, to be honest. We could have got through that phase 6 pretty well if yeah, I hadn't died. Maybe I could have done better myself, timing my stones of health. Maybe not biting more than I can chew of like aggroing 3 of the different beholders. I should probably have stuck to just 2 of them and just hoped that the other tank could make sure they had the other 2. That's generally the best way to go, and I should talk to him about it. But there's portals again, you'll get them here, and you can see that that area around is closing in. So it's a DPS check. You need to have enough damage dealers alive with enough burst to be able to get through 20% of his hit points within that time, because you hit that barrier, you're gone, you're out. And that was it. That's as far as I got within the trial. And yeah, that was about 15 minutes of a run. And yeah, then I just talk in chat there. Too many deaths on phase 6. I basically died to not really having heals. At least that's what I can tell from the replay. And at the time, I was running around with not much heals, and I don't really blame him. I'm running with a bard healer in my party, and they don't really have a lot of single target heals, let's be honest. Not like a cleric with their bastion or something, or with their tab as well, and then the paladin healer with their tab too. Anyway, hopefully this was insightful to you guys. We'll see you guys around.